We'll consider the element of national invincibility with reference to health. Health, the word in English, means wholeness. And health in Sanskrit sounds as swastha. Swastha, swa means the self, and stha means established. Established or establishment in the self is swastha. And that in English is health, wholeness. So that means self-sufficiency. The self is self-sufficient. The self is holistic in nature. So if one is established in the self, one is established in the wholeness of life, and one established in the wholeness is healthy, who possesses health. Health in possession of the self. Now, to give the idea of what the self is, starting from a very elementary level, we can consider the life of a plant, consider the life of a rose, the plant. Where is the wholeness of all this? Where is the total story of the green of the leaf and flat and the round and the thing, and where is the total story of all this? Certainly on none of these levels which we see actually, the green leaf or the round brown stem or the beautiful pink petal. This is a part of the plant, this is a part of the plant, this is a part of the plant. These are all the parts. Where is the wholeness? If we examine the totality of this, we find it rests with the sap. Because all this is sap. The green is made of the sap. Every grain of the green is nothing other than the sap, which in its own right is colorless. Every grain of the pink petal is nothing other than the sap, in its own right is colorless. So the colorless, qualityless sap seems to be the essence of all this. So in that structure of the self is the wholeness of the rose and the leaf and the stem and the grey and the green and the pink. Sap is that holistic value of this plant. And therefore, considering the value of the sap will mean considering the health of the plant. And the gardener has the secret. Where is the health of the petal? He knows it is in the value of the sap. Where is the health of the green leaf? Where is the health of the round petal, brown round petal? The gardener knows it's on the level of the sap, because these he knows as individual, isolated, limited expressions of the sap. But the sap is holistic in nature. It is the wholeness of the plant. But the sap is unmanifest in its own right. Like the sap is the element of consciousness in the individual life. His hands and feet and this, the whole body, and for that matter the entire environment and the whole universe is the expression of that essence of life, consciousness. It is the sap which initially intends to become the leaf here, it becomes leaf here. It intends to creep on, it's on, it becomes the petal here. All the beautiful radiance of the petal is the intention of the sap to blossom in this way. All the beautiful green of the sap, of the petal, is the intention of the sap to blossom in this way. It sounds philosophical, but this is what the philosophy does. It uncovers the hidden value of the surface expressions of life. The hidden value of surface expressions of life, and then provides a region from where all the surface values of life can be administered, controlled, manipulated, cultured. The gardener handling the sap nurtures the pink of the petal, the green of the leaf, the brown of the stem. He is able to successfully handle from that level of life, which is in essence the source of all expressions. Consciousness like that in the individual is that element where the totality of life is located. The body, the mind, and all the different subtler values of the mind that we call intellect and ego, all that. They are all in their essence in the structure of consciousness, the self. Looking from the point of view of physics, which is the science of all that is there in the expressed creation, it finds everything as noise. All these waves, excitations, all the very great excitations, then lesser excitations and lesser excitations and lesser excitations and lesser excitations. Eventually, at the basis of all these excitations, physics tells us a field of least excitation, state of least excitation of matter or energy. In this, what they locate is the totality of all this noise in the eternal silence of the state of least excitation, the vacuum. The vacuum. This is physics. Locates the unmanifest value at the basis of all the expressions of manifestations. Big, huge manifestations, all this huge galactic activity in the universe and all that. All that gets down to be emerging from the state of least excitation, the vacuum state. So if we want to consider the health of the universe, where do we locate one value by handling which we will be able to handle all values in the cosmic life, all values? What a tremendous relief will it be to all the health agencies in the world, which has such big, huge books on every little part of the body, very scientific, very systematic, but huge, enormous volume, which is not even possible for anyone to study and understand and go by that. And on that basis of that knowledge, which is huge and enormous, to maintain perfect health. Science of creative intelligence offers that one region of life by handling which all the other expressions of life will be handled in the most profound way. And most profound way means we can have any level of life as we want by handling the basic value of life. Wise physicists say that if we have the total knowledge of the vacuum state, we have the total knowledge of the universe. To know the universe, know the vacuum state. Now, transcendental meditation creates that a kind of vacuum state in this least excited value of awareness. The mind settles down. The active mind settles down, settles down, settles down, settles down, and it settles down. And this is the least excited state of consciousness, state of least excitation of consciousness, and this is transcendental consciousness. And this transcendental consciousness, the settled state of awareness. Now, this unsettled state, noisy state, active state of awareness we call mind. Mind. And when the activity of awareness, when the mind settles down, it becomes unbounded awareness, unbounded awareness. It's like transcending the pink of the petal and green of the leaf. We come to that level which is basic to pink and petal and basic to green and leaf, the sap. So like the sap in a plant is the settled state of consciousness, the settled state of the mind. And if we run parallel to the knowledge of creation from physics, when we hear the physicists saying that if you know the vacuum state, you know the whole creation, if we run parallel to them, and then we say, if you know the settled state of consciousness, unbounded awareness, we know the whole universe. And if we know how to operate on that level of settled consciousness, we know how to administer the activity of the whole creation. When the gardener knows how to operate on the level of the sap, he is free to desire red lines in this beautiful pink. He can choose to have green lines. He could choose to have a red petal and another yellow and another green and another third color that he likes. Each petal could come out in different flavors. Only the gardener has to know what impulse to set forth on the level of the sap. What telephonic impulse? what fertilizer, at what time, in order to produce what particular effect. This is the master of the plant. And someone who knows how to operate from the level of settled consciousness. He can create anything in any field of expressions of consciousness. The entire creation is the expression of consciousness. The field of matter and thought can be handled precisely as we want from the level that settled awareness, which we say simplest form of awareness. Settled state of mind is known to us as the simplest form of awareness. It's like a sine wave, simplest form of wave, and once you have a sine wave, you can create any complicated wave out of it. And once you have that simplest form of awareness, you can create anything out of that simplest form of awareness. And because now we have the knowledge of the simplest form of awareness and the dynamics of it, how it can function from within its own value, now we have the field of all possibilities open to human life. Human mind in the settled state is a field of all possibilities. Living practical day-to-day life from that level of all possibilities is being healthy. That is the healthy person. That is the healthy individual who is living the wholeness of life. The total potential of life is in that field which offers infinite values, all possibilities. And that is where and what? Simplest form of awareness. Look at this discovery in the field of health. Every human being is found to be an all-capable human being. He can ring the bell of invincibility. So self-sufficient in his own right that he could whisper to nature, I want this. And all the natural laws will be functioning for him. What the gardener does, he just creates some new impulse, just some new kind of fertilizer which sends a new message. An impulse, an innocent impulse from that level of the sap. It influences the desired value, produces the desired effect. This is handling that area of life from where the totality of life can be easily handled. Here is the key to perfect health in the transcendental meditation program, which silences the mind. And further, another turn of the key through the TMCD program, which enables that settled state of consciousness to rise in impulses. The simplest form of awareness in action. That means the totality of life in action. TM Siddhi program leads to and demonstrates what perfect health means. A faint impulse of that simplest form of awareness produces the desired effect. This is health. We are considering health, and we are considering invincibility to every nation from this angle of health. What this TM and TM City program is going to offer to the world? Perfect health. And when we say perfect health in the context of a nation, we mean every item that constitutes a nation, every part of life in any area includes business, includes farming, includes seasons, winter, summer, spring, autumn, includes rains, sunshine, behavior of the people. All that life is made of, every aspect of life is an aspect of a nation. When we talk of invincibility of a nation, we talk of perfect health of every constituent of nation. Perfect health. And perfect health means no weakness anywhere. No weakness in the body, in the mind, in the relationship of body and mind, in the behavior, in communication. Communication is healthy when the purpose of communication is fulfilled. When both the points of communication, start and end, are brought closer together in the fulfillment of the communication, then is the success of communication. So when we are talking, we are considering health in the context of a nation. We are considering all these values, including the value of communication, including the value of administration, all avenues of individual and society, all avenues of the inert matter and the dynamic energy, all avenues of everything that goes to make life. We are considering that, and that we are considering in their completeness, fullness. And what we are finding is there is a key. There is a field from where all these values can be handled. There is a key from where all values of societies can be handled. And fortunately, science of creative intelligence provides one master key to unlock the hang-ups of all the items that constitute a nation. Unlock the hang-ups means take every aspect of life to be free from stresses and strains, from constraints, from limitations. Let them all blossom in their full potential. When we say perfect health of the nation, every aspect of life in the nation rises to full fruition of its potentiality. Full value of national law, full value of natural law comes to be lived. That vacuum state by the physicists is called the home of all the laws of nature, the home of all the laws of nature, because it's from here that all activity starts. From here all the laws of nature spring. The same thing is of the sap. Sap is the home of all the laws of nature. Some laws begin to be active at this stage and they bring out this branch here. And then some laws from the branch bring out the leaf here. Certain specific impulses of creative values, certain impulses of creative intelligence, certain specific impulses of creative intelligence responsible to handle specific areas of growth of the sap into expressions and manifestations. But all these reside in the sap. So sap is the common meeting ground or common place of residence or the home of all the impulses of creative intelligence. We can talk of natural law in terms of impulses of creative intelligence. The totality of natural law is in the nature of the sap itself, and the expressions of natural law in terms of specific impulses of creative intelligence engaged in creating variety from that unified state of the sap. Exactly the same way, from that simplest form of awareness, settled state of consciousness, all the impulses of creative intelligence arise. All thinking arises from that settled state of awareness, from that silence of awareness. All thought rises, and all action results from thought. Progression of action results in the same stream of evolution of the desire. So, when we talk of the settled state of consciousness, we are talking of the home of all the laws of nature. And when this home of all the laws of nature is delivered in the awareness of the individual is functioning from the central core of natural law. And if the awareness is functioning from the central core of natural law, everything is a possibility, because the whole creation is just governed, administered by natural law. Different impulses of creative intelligence shoot forth from that home of all the laws of nature, home of natural law. And that is, according to physics, in the field of vacuum state. According to the gardener, it's in his deer sap. In the textbooks of consciousness, in the Veda, it is in the settled state of awareness. It's a very beautiful hymn of Rig Veda which describes that settled state of awareness as the absolute of life, non-changing, non-variable, wholeness of life. That is the self, one's own self, the self of every man, settled state of mind, that's all. Self is not a mysterious thing. When the activity of the mind settles down, then that awareness is settled state of awareness, and that awareness is the self. Because it is that which can think its own. That's why it's self. Everything is the expression of the self. Everything is self-referral. Everything is self-referral. That anything in creation is the expression of the self. Therefore, self is wholeness of life. When we want health, we handle the self. And the art of handling the self develops in one's habit with this transcendental meditation program and with this TM Siddhi program. With transcendental meditation, the mind settles down. With TM Siddhi program, one gains the habit of functioning from that settled state. And this is integration of life, that the activity has a lively support of inner silence. The deep inner silence in the field of activity is a sign of perfect health. And this is when the self, the wholeness of life, functions freely and fully. Talking of transcendental meditation in this way and finding it to be the health, in principle, from the physics, from the ordinary everyday's activity of the gardener, from the standard textbooks in the field of consciousness, from the Veda. So from the most ancient knowledge about life in the Veda, from the most modern knowledge about life from the discovery of different laws through different sciences, and from the experience of so many hundreds of thousands of people practicing transcendental meditation in the world, we know where is the key to perfect health. And health of the individual and health of the society. Everyone by now has heard about that 1% effect. In whatever community there are people 1% in number practicing meditation, the balance in nature increases, accidents become less. All these collective values, which we call social values, values of the society, they gain a positive trend. Individuals become incapable of thinking wrong things. Their thinking changes, and that changes in favor of society, in favor of others. So this influence of the growing health on the individual level, in the health of the whole society, the evidence that through transcendental meditation, not only the health of the individual improves, but the health of the whole society improves. Criminal tendencies become less, crime rate falls down, sickness becomes less. This is a very direct evidence of the key to perfect health in the practice of TM and TM Siddhis. Perfect health. And when we are looking at a nation to its most immediate need, what we find is every nation is in need of perfect health. Every nation, unfortunately, is unhealthy. There is no satisfaction in any corner of society, in any part of the society. Societies are stressed, and those who are unstressed, they are so dumbed into inertia and lethargy. And those who are very active, they get tired, stressed, and all that. So there is lack of health. At this moment, at this time of development of human consciousness, when the knowledge of the laws of nature is increasing, Science of creative intelligence offers the home of all the laws of nature, delivers it in the awareness of the individual as the key to perfect health of the individual himself, and as a result of the individual growing in the direction of perfect health, the society, the values in society, the values of a nation grow in the direction of perfect health, and perfect health is impenetrable to outside disturbing influences. Perfect health means there is that highly increased value of resistance to diseases. The system is strong enough not to take anything that is damaging to its existence. This is prevention from sicknesses and all that. So much of experimentation has been done in the field of physiology and psychology to show that the health increases. We will analyze some other time the improvement in physiology and psychology and behavior that comes through the practice of transcendental meditation. But here we are discussing the principle and the area, the key area by handling which we will be able to straighten out all these stresses and strains and abnormalities in our individual life, and as a result of the individuals growing in the direction of perfect health, the whole society will have that mode of its character. The whole society will be growing in invincibility, in that wholeness of health which will disallow any weak point. It's a very beautiful time in the development of knowledge about life that we can talk of perfect health. Otherwise, the area of health was always considered in terms of sickness, in terms of ill health. By handling consciousness, which is the simplest form, the most basic value of life, the simplest form of awareness, which is a common experience of the people practicing transcendental meditation. And then to handle thought process from that settled awareness, a very common experience today for all those millions of people who are practicing TM and TMCD program. So, it's in the name of health that we can talk about invincibility in every nation. It's not necessary now for all those custodians of different cultures to feel uncomfortable about the health of their people. It's not necessary. Just educate the people in handling their thoughts from the settled state of mind. And you have educated the people to enjoy perfect health. All education that is given in any country is to organize thought process, organize. That means organize the activity, how to think. If you want to build a bridge, how to think. If you want to grow crops, grow rice or wheat, how to think, all these scientific procedures for maximum creativity of the soil, maximum creativity in industry, best administration, economics, banking, the accounting, arithmetic, algebra, chemistry, behavior of particles, here, there. All these different branches of knowledge, they all keep the mind active in whatever channel. So what the present education is doing is providing the procedures to organize the mind to gain success in any particular channel. Not make mistakes. All mathematics is there. If you want to pounce upon the moon, this is how you go, and there you are, and if you want to come back, this is how you come back. Very exact precision of handling activity in specific channels for specific results. This is what education is doing, and it's a marvelous achievement in the field of education that we can now go to the moon and come back telling the tales of the ground of the moon and all those things. But then now, with all specific benefits in ordering the activity of the mind in specific channels, what we find is health is lacking in its completeness. Wholeness of life is unavailable to the man still. Wholeness of life, that means health. The operation of the totality of human potential is still unavailable, and therefore health is unavailable, and therefore education is still lacking some precious element. Some precious fundamental is still lacking in education. Some precious fundamental is still lacking in the field of health. And that now we have found the awareness of the settled state of mind, the awareness in its simplest form. Through transcendental meditation, it is very easily gained, and therefore we say to build up our aspirations for perfect health in every man by the introduction of transcendental meditation. And in the field of education, by the introduction of the scientific values of this program. It is when we talk of health, we talk of health programs. But then all these health programs, various health programs, must be automatically available in the field of education. They are. The colleges are there, medical colleges are there, and physiology degrees are there in physiology. They are all there. But what is not there is one area of knowledge by handling which the totality of life could be handled. The area of consciousness. Now that science of creative intelligence offers that. Now, we must be able to create a generation. One generation will all that will be needed to create in perfect health, and all the future generations will enjoy, because then that will be the tradition of living. So it is from the field of education that we can open the awareness of every man to his own settled state of consciousness. That's all. And then all the problems on the social level, on the economic level, on the political level, religious level, all kinds of different values that constitute a culture or constitute a nation, they'll all get coherently built up. And it is in the total coherence of different values of life that the perfect health resides. coherence, integration. This rose is beautiful because all the petals are integrated. There is a level on which all have met, and then maintaining that meeting point, they all go in their own directions, but maintaining that central point. Like that, the awareness maintaining that subtle state, it could move on in different directions, but maintaining that silence, movement, direction will be blossoming into a beautiful, coherent value of life, wholeness, and that will be health. So when we talk of health, we must take our considerations to all levels of existence, individual and collective. After all, what is the individual? It's also a collection of so many cells and different parts and all that. In same way, society is a collection of so many different tendencies. Some are this and this, and different tendencies come up, and we say a society. An English society, or a French society, or a German society. But in the German society there are so many elements. In the English society there are so many elements. But then each society grows up in a specific character. But whatever are the surface values of differences in German and French and English and American societies, Indian of course, whatever the differences, but then life as life is from the same source, silent, quiet awareness. The quiet awareness of the Germans is same as that of Germans and English and Indians and Americans. The quiet level of awareness, which is the core of wholeness, by handling which we handle perfect health of every society. So here is one key formula for perfect health of every nation, on the basis of which we can raise the structure of invincibility. Perfect health should be a normal situation with every one individual and with every one society and with every nation. What we have to do is introduce the study of consciousness and handle affairs of activity from that subtle state of awareness, which is wholeness in its own right, which is perfect health in its own right, and the key to perfect health on all these different levels, national level and provincial level and city level and community level and family level and individual level and the cellular level of the individual. It's a very beautiful vision of that ultimate level of existence, that primary level of life, pure consciousness. And because it's everyone's self, it's everyone's own awareness, one doesn't have to go out anywhere in order to gain mastery over handling that thing. It's only a matter of knowing that a subtle state of consciousness is a field of all possibilities, it's a field of perfect health, and from there we can whisper our requirements and the nature will accomplish it. The nature will accomplish it. And how the nature accomplishes? In a very quiet way. Just because we don't know, if we don't know how the letter which we have dropped in a hole here in this box, how it will reach Rio de Janeiro. If we don't know the machinery of the government which quietly takes it through the standard channels of communication and delivers the letter, if we don't know the mechanics of how the administration of society functions, then we remain wondering. I wrote such a beautiful letter to my dear mother, but I put it in this hole here. What will happen to it, we don't know. The person who has not known the glory of the bank, he says, going to this shop, buying this and selling this and this and this, the hawkers on the streets, the little buying and selling. By doing this, I will gain so much every evening and this and this. What on earth I'll do if I am closed in a bank there? And he finds no time for going to the bank. He will always remain a sort of unsatisfied, wise merchant on the streets all the time. Just because he is not educated in the secrets of business. The gardener is educated in secrets of business because then he functions from the level of the sap. This is the secret area from where he knows business to do, bring out any aspect in its brilliance. The secret of success is in handling the source of all energy. The source of all energy is, in this case, the sap, in this case, consciousness, settled state of consciousness. That is wholeness. That is the wholeness. The example of an industry. Where is the wholeness of the industry? Where? In the machine sheds? No. At the entrance? No. With the sales agents? No. The wholeness of business is in the office or in the mind of the general manager. And from there the inspiration comes. And if you can handle the general manager, handle all the values of industry, all the machine sheds and everything will say, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes. Because you are speaking from the general manager's office. The general manager of life, the general manager of the nation is collective consciousness of the nation. National consciousness is the general manager of the nation. The national consciousness, the collective consciousness of the nation is the administrator of the nation. It is that through which the government machinery functions. And that is the sum total of individual consciousness. The sum total of all the activities of the individual consciousness, you will find in that settled state of consciousness, wholeness, the total value of consciousness. The total value of consciousness, including all values of consciousness, all the collective values, family consciousness, community consciousness, national consciousness. All these values are invariably present in their entirety in the settled state of consciousness. The person who has not known the glory of the bank, he says, going to this shop, buying this and selling this and this and this, the hawkers on the streets, the little buying and selling. By doing this, I will gain so much every evening and this and this. What on earth I'll do if I am closed in a bank there? And he finds no time for going to the bank. He will always remain a sort of unsatisfied, wise merchant on the streets all the time. Just because he is not educated in the secrets of business. The gardener is educated in secrets of business because then he functions from the level of the sap. This is the secret area from where he knows business to do, to bring out any aspect in its brilliance. The secret of success is in handling the source of all energy. The source of all energy is, in this case, the sap, in this case, consciousness. subtle state of consciousness. That is wholeness. That is the wholeness. Taking the example of an industry, where is the wholeness of the industry? Where? In the machine sheds? No. At the entrance? No. With the sales agents? No. The wholeness of business is in the office or in the mind of the general manager. And from there the inspiration comes, and if you can handle the general manager, you can handle all the values of industry. All the machine sheds and everything will say, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes. Because you are speaking from the general manager's office. The general manager of life, the general manager of the nation is collective consciousness of the nation. National consciousness is the general manager of the nation. The national consciousness, the collective consciousness of the nation is the administrator of the nation. It is that through which the government machinery functions. And that is the sum total of individual consciousness. The sum total of all the activities of the individual consciousness, the individual finds in that subtle state of consciousness, wholeness, the total value of consciousness. The total value of consciousness, including all values of consciousness, all the collective values, family consciousness, community consciousness, national consciousness. All these values are invariably present in their entirety in the subtle state of consciousness. The individual functioning from there would enrich all the values of these collective levels of consciousness. National consciousness can easily be handled by the subtle, quiet, holistic value of consciousness of the individual. Only we have to educate the individual how to take the awareness to that field of all possibilities and how to function from there. A few individuals in any nation functioning from there, 1% or even less than that if the country is great. Bigger the population of the country, lesser will be the percentage of the people required functioning from that field of perfect health, from that holistic value of consciousness, in order to have most orderly state of collective consciousness. This is how the nation's health can be effectively and most efficiently be handled by a few people who are living that wholeness of life. A few people who are expert in handling their own consciousness. And this is brought about practically the TMCD program. The TMCD program that educates the people to function from that wholeness of consciousness, from that level of perfect health. Here is the key to invincibility for every nation in the awakening of that level of life which in its own right is invincible. That simplest form of awareness is invincible. The field of the sap is invincible. Nothing of the leaf or the stem or the petal, green, pink, nothing can disturb the value of the sap, because it is the sap which brings nourishment to all of them. It is the sap which glorifies the green and glorifies the pink. And thereby what the sap is doing? It's glorifying the individuality of this and this. At the same time, it is keeping them unified on its own level. National consciousness remains enjoying perfect health on the level of the individual's ability to function from that level of perfect health, from that field of all possibilities, from that field of infinite correlation, from that field of quiet mind, that's all. Simple, quiet mind. So this is the principle of perfect health, the philosophy of health, which takes into account all values, individual and collective, and their relationships, and puts them right in such a quiet manner. When 1% of the people begin to practice, it's the quiet effect that they produce in the environment, so that very quietly the criminal tendencies change. Very quietly. No one goes to lecture to the criminals that better you don't plan beating him on the street tomorrow. Very quietly his thinking changes. He finds some other engagements. He doesn't bother about. He doesn't have no time for that now anymore. So very quietly nature administers action. And this is because it's powerful, it's healthy. It's the health that accomplishes great things without feeling stressed, without feeling problemed by them. So it's in the strength that perfect health lies. And it is in the perfect health that real strength of life lies. It's in the perfect health of the nation that invincibility lies. And it is in the invincibility that perfect health lies. They are both the one thing. Invincibility of the nation means perfect health of the nation. Perfect health of the nation means invincibility of the nation. And that, by handling that which in its own nature is wholeness, health. Health is wholeness. There is a level of life which in its own right is wholeness. Everything springs from there, and we handle that. And TM and TM City program provides very easy, simple, natural, effortless formulas to handle that value which is wholeness in life, to handle the self, to handle consciousness. So in this offer of handling consciousness in the most natural way for every individual in society is the formula for enjoying perfect health on the national level and for every nation to rise to invincibility. Jai Guru Dev.